Welcome back to Limbus Company, Canto 6. Last time, we made our way to the gates of Wuthering Heights, and Heathcliff got a little bit of a makeover so that he's ready to enter. This time, we make the step, we press on, and we see just what awaits us inside. More story stuff. There's a lot of story stuff over this Canto. I'm, of course, invested, and I love it, but either option works. This is uncomfortable. Boy, is it normal for these clothes to squeeze harder with every step I take? That is what it means to maintain an air of dignity. Once you get used to that feeling, you'll feel like you're missing something whenever you're dressed casually. This must be the front gate to your former place of abode, Heathcliff. The massive gate alone feels downright intimidating. That's one big front door. It is known that, in certain regions of the city, the size of the front gate is an indicator of one's social standing. The magnitude of this front gate indicates that the owner of this home is very affluent. But you picked on Honglu for being a rich kid when you yourself was raised by some huge mansion? I don't mind it at all. I'm feeling a bit betrayed, actually. Sir Heathcliff, thou appears quite different today. Your stupid comments to yourself. Some were teasing him, and some were genuinely surprised, but it didn't matter to Heathcliff. Every word he spat out was dripping with venomous spite. I wasn't even remotely close to being rich. I was never once rich in this manner. I wasn't even allowed to be content, not even for a moment. And this manor never accepted me, not even for a... What the hell? A lightning strike. It seems to have struck an area near the forest. That was so loud. It's okay. I heard that it's extremely rare for lightning to actually hit people. You got some of the giant metalhead, though. A momentary musing reveals that a strike of levin brings about a sensation that is not unlike the joy of fireworks. Ah, poor Yi-song thinking about Dongback. It fills the dark and cold void of the night sky with its incandescent brilliance, even for a brief moment, before fading away into oblivion. Yeah, it makes sense that Yi-song can be super, depressed this Canto, because he's gonna think about his old comrades a lot, his compatriots, as he says. Right, and in exchange it loses everything it has, burning and leaving nothing but ash behind. Very symbolic for Dongback, eh? What joy is there to be found? I could hear some forest critters fleeing, spooked by the thunderstrike. Oh, behold! Any squirrel over yonder! Whoa, such nature so close to home. I didn't know you used to live at such an eco-friendly place. I suppose I wouldn't have to go through the trouble of building a private zoo if I lived at a place like... Have a garden or a forest so near their home. Even if we were to ignore everything else, that alone indicates that its owner is someone of unimaginable affluence. Oh yeah, Honglu did mention his grandfather owns creatures or something. The petting zoo part, definitely real. Right, I remember that Sinclair's home was in the middle of the forest too. Squirrels, sure. There were other animals roaming about too. Sometimes, when I was so miserable that I could hardly bear to even be in that manner, I'd go to the forest and not return for a long, long time. Oh, this tiny forest friend, little Sir Squirrel, must have been quite the jolly companion for thee. He probably beat to death with his bat, I presume. Little Sir Squirrel! Aww. Very interesting, though. They purposely changed... They've made a fake out of this CG. Because in the trailer, we see this CG, but normal Heathcliff instead of dripped out Heathcliff. They didn't want us to know. It's pretty obvious he was dripped out, because you could see him with a ponytail in one of the other CGs, but they didn't want to reveal the whole thing, I suppose. So they made a fake out for the trailer. And that's the squirrel being struck by lightning. I was wondering if it was going to be like the Dreaming Electric Sheep or something, but no, it is a squirrel being brutally murdered right in front of Don Quixote's face. The little squirrel that he was have been Heathcliff's tiny forest friend was immediately scorched down to a pile of ash the moment it crossed over into the manor's front gate. Oh, they've got a lightning barrier. Kind of like the Ucore Beach, I suppose. They've got a basic initial banner. So the lightning is a protective measure, I suppose. preventing uninvited guests from getting in. That was a weird lightning strike. It just curved midair. Oh, they've definitely got the dreaming electric sheep like tied up somewhere, and they're using it to create the storm, don't they? As like a protection measure, they're definitely using the avenue to some degree. I think chance of such an occurrence is extraordinarily low. It might just be that I'm overreacting, but it looks as though that lightning was curving itself to strike exactly where that squirrel was standing. Whoa. Heathcliff, I had no idea you grew up in such a dangerous place. I'm impressed you even survived. The lightning's news from the Abno. No. Blimey. I've not seen anything like it. Right, Heathcliff. Ready to knock on the front gate? Front gate. Yeah, this is the CG we saw already, where we could see Heathcliff dripped up. It was pretty obvious it was going to be him, so... no shocker there. He stared blankly at the front gate of the manor. I've not knocked on this gate in a good many years. I once had to wait out here for hours because they all refused to let me in. Everyone, except Catherine. He snuck out of the manor to open it for me. Walking through the heavy rain. Well then, I'm sure it won't be different this time. So if I knock, Catherine will come out to let me in? Is she, like, super dead, though, I wonder? From the Otis, thing from last time. Oh. Heathcliff takes a deep breath before knocking on the front door. Oh, nothing. That's not what I meant when I said it won't be different this time. Oh, we can try climbing over the fence. I think we can clear that height as long as we're okay with breaking our ankles. Lightning. No. Heathcliff was a whole bundle of anxiety before he knocked in the front gate, but I guess this is what they meant by the strange security system that was preventing LCCB from getting in, striking lightning down anyone who enters uninvited. Perhaps this perceived slight reverted Heathcliff into his usual angry self. I was invited to this manor. This invitation would be meaningless if I were to leap over the fence. Catherine! I'm back. They've ignored you once. Continuing to shout won't... Catherine! Despite his efforts, not even a soul stirred beyond the front gate. None of us really believed that anyone would come out to greet him. But... Kath... The front gate began to creak open, as though someone was answering his pleas. The makeover was worth it. He's past the test. You can see the color there again. I think it is genuinely bugged. Like, the colors aren't supposed to be that faded for some of them. Oh, Nelly! We're gonna get to meet Nelly now. It's more story again. Yeah, a lot of story. I'm surprised they didn't go for the bit of, like, bending arm. They could have done, like, letter, colors, makeover, then front gate if they really wanted to commit to the bit. I guess they didn't. Which is fair enough. Yeah, this is why you can scroll so high because the manor is very tall and it's on top of the hill. Wuthering heights for a reason. It is high. Yeah, this looks much more natural than what's actually going on with the filters. Okay, it works properly here, so I guess it's just kind of bugged for some of the things. The heavy rain and the tempest only grew harsher the closer we got to the manor. Though we have long made it past the front gate, not a soul doth appear. Are we even more grayscale now? We seem to be, like, actually properly grayscale now, not sepia. Although I think it's because they turned off the sepia filter and now they're just using actually grayscaled sprites. The bubbling excitement of the sinners when they disembarked the bus had all but disappeared. Silent Day wrapped her hands and surrounded them as they gingerly took their hesitant steps towards the manor. Kathy, have you been well? No. Catherine, it has been a while, hasn't it? No, this ain't it either. Struggling to find words to say. In the midst of this aura of uneasiness, only Heathcliff seemed to be preoccupied by something else. The rest of the sinners were... Did you catch that? A bird. A subspecies of sparrows, to be exact. Flew over the gate, got struck by lightning. Lightning continues to strike aggressively, even this far past the front gate. It would have been burnt to a crisp had it struck even a little closer. Lightning continued to blast the earth, as though it wouldn't be satisfied until it's reduced every living thing in the manor to grounds to a pile of ashes. Is it gonna hit us if we walk faster? Or maybe it hits things that are moving too slowly. Maybe we should speed up. I don't know. Our walking speed seems irrelevant. Instead, it's almost as if this lightning has a will of its own, striking with intent. Brings back some unpleasant memories. What? I'm trying to think. This is an Odyssey thing, isn't it? I forget what it was. Like, one of the things they encounter, it's like a pair of monsters or something, and one of them's like lightning-y, right? Maybe? Like, what is it, like, Priscilla and Chartibus or whatever? Scylla and Chartibus? I don't know if I'm getting that right. One of them's lightning, I think, maybe. Or maybe I'm thinking of something completely wrong. I haven't read the Odyssey, I just know stuff about it. Not Percy Jackson. Oh, maybe it's like this house's defense system. Defense system. You imply that this may be a part of the manor's security measures. Maybe it only targets things that enter the manor grounds without permission. I've seen security measures that are more precise and more conclusive than this. Larger manors often do install more effective security systems, after all. Oh, I think our family talked about installing a defense system at our home, too. It was one of those topics that kept coming up during dinner. That would make sense. Not that I'll ever understand the thought process behind these systems. Perhaps the security measures that prevented the before team from approaching the manor, maybe... Yeah, but we have the invitation with us. I think we'll be just fine. Is that really all this is? Is this just one of those normal security measures that every rich family supposedly has? This is pretty interesting, though. I heard that the technology to change the weather itself is really, really expensive to the point of being inefficient. So expensive that I've not seen it myself. Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely Abno then. Especially with Dante's kind of innate suspicion towards it. Is that really all this is? Dante can probably sense there's an Abno related, since Dante can sense Abnos and stuff. They're weird like that. I remained silent because I didn't want to concern the sinners with something I wasn't sure about. But the closer we got to the manor, the more confident I became that something was off. That this extremely abnormal weather isn't the work of some security guard. Abnormal, This absolutely has something to do with the golden bow. Oh, unless it's the Fathoms. Unless the Fathoms can get this far, but I don't think so. But this golden bow feels different from the ones we've encountered before. It's a bit more chaotic? Oh? Huh. These flowers. Yeah, Heathcliff flowers. They've got color. Sinclair was right. The manor's garden was lightly littered with flowers. They were the only things of color in this dreary sight. I wonder what these flowers are called. I wonder too. I wonder if they're called Heathcliffs. Very interesting how they don't have color of the actual manor themselves. They can afford anything. They could probably purchase color for the entire manor if they wanted to, but I guess it's a stylistic choice to only have the flowers, maybe? Huh. I guess you can return the colors even to flowers if you cough up enough cash. Indeed. The proprietor of this manor must have held a particular love for these flowers. To return the colors to such transient things as flowers. Or perhaps it may simply be that they are preposterously affluent. Heathcliff quietly gazed at the patches of violet flowers as Yi-song mused out loud. They're definitely skirting around what the flowers are named for a reason. You're wrong. There was no particular love for these flowers. There was no room, no warmth in that heart to spare for mere flowers. Heathcliff appeared so doleful that I felt as though he had built a tall, opaque wall between himself and the world. I could not bring myself to ask further. He did not tell us the name of those flowers. My, please come this way! Nelly! Someone hurriedly runs this way from the manor's front door, holding a lantern. What an awful weather! Well, the Wuthering Heights Manor is rarely ever sunny, but this is quite the storm. It's only a lantern. She's got a full-on bag thing going on here. Long time no see, Nelly. My word, Heathcliff. Is that you? It really is you. Yeah. You haven't the slightest idea how worried I was since you left. Have you been eating well? You've not been bullied by a rough crowd, have you? I think Nelly is like the only other person who treats Heathcliff well beyond Kathy, if I'm not mistaken in the book. Bullied by a what? Stay there. Bullied by a rough crowd. We've wanted to hear from you for so long! Do come in now, do come in! This Nelly regarded us with a curious look, as though she didn't quite understand what we were supposed to be. If I may be so bold as to presume... Would you be our dear Heathcliff's friends? Yeah, well... Friends? Are we? The answer to that question hinges on the range of affinity one would define as the delineation that separates friends from acquaintances. Of course we're friends. Precious friendship forged in fire. Multiple fires, actually. Your dear Heathcliff's precious friends are about to freeze to their deaths in the rain, woman. But my, what honorable guests are welcome to this place today. I must be all over the place to leave you all standing in the rain. Come in now, come in. It's a tad warmer in here than it is outside. The interiors of Wuthering Heights was rather dark yet. This manor. All have color. Oh, just they got color inside the manor. That's cool. It still seems a little faded. Yeah, a little tad faded, but mostly intact. That's cool. There was color in this manor. What did I tell you? I could see color inside this manor. Well, it's all bought by money, anyway. Believe it or not, there's something about these lanterns hanging about the manor that brings back colors. Oh yeah, because it relates to light. It makes sense. They're special lanterns. The lanterns that return the object's original saturation. They're quite the expensive luxuries, are they not? It still doesn't bring all the colors back. Things still remain a tad gloomy. It's a nice color palette, though, like the slight, like... hues. So where's Kathy? Heathcliff, please tell me of your light since you have left us, Where have you been staying? Have you been eating well? My, have you lost weight? Huh? I'm glad your delay wasn't too substantial. We have all been waiting for your arrival. We? Now let me get a better look at you. The refined dress, clothes, the hair. My, you've certainly grown into a right proper gentleman, haven't you? Quite the popular lad you are, with a posse of friends and all. Well, did I? But of course, I would not have recognized you from a distance. Nelly was talking so fast that Heathcliff wasn't spared even a second to get in a single word. Nelly, was it? What is your precise relation to Heathcliff? As his precious friend, colleague, and comrade in arms, I cannot help but be curious as to how you two know each other. She's a maid, what do you mean? Otis, who was conspicuously scanning the interiors of the manor, suddenly asked Nelly the most transparently suspicious question that I've ever heard. Oh, let's see, Heathcliff's... how should I put this? Nanny, I suppose. Nanny? What, like, you wiped Heathcliff's snot, changed his baby clothes, and... Am I thinking of the right nanny? And when the baby's fussy about the food, Nanny spoon-feed it to them. Oh wait, Nelly, quit teasing me like that. You weren't exactly my nanny, and you know that. We've known each other since we were both young. And I did not treat her like a servant or follow her around like she was my nanny. Mind you, I am now the chief butler of the house. You must see the other butlers moving about like soldiers when I give a word. Interesting, so she is the chief butler. But Otis doesn't seem to be an idea of Nelly. I thought it would be Joseph. Interesting, though. Well, you were the best at your job. She also seems to use a different weapon than her fist. She seems to... I guess I can't pull it up there. But she's got that weird briefcase thing, and I assume that's the weapon to some degree. Nelly, I'm getting quite impatient, but I've got to ask. Heathcliff must have wanted so badly to ask her where Kathy was. So when's the banquet starting? Instead, he hid his true question behind a mask of aloofness. But, Nelly's expression became somewhat odd upon hearing Heathcliff's query. The banquet? Oi! When's that witless brigand coming? Is he even on his way? You can't just leave after gathering us all down here. If I have to sit any second longer next to these mugs, I'm gonna lose it. There was a furious voice echoing from down the halls. Wonder if that's gonna be the dead rabbit's boss. Dead Rabbit Jr. Nelly, wait. I recognize that voice. Yep, Dead Rabbit's boss. My, don't rush. He just arrived, mind you. Let's join the others, Heathcliff. Like I said, we've all been waiting for your arrival. Heathcliff bit his lips anxiously and followed Nelly. This doesn't feel at all like a man that's about to throw a party. Yeah, that cruise ship party, this manor. You can't hide the rising sense of dread from places like these. It doesn't matter how hard you try. This manor does not appear to have been a place where liveliness is an expected element. See signs of rushed cleaning conducted immediately before the guests arrived. Several cracks and areas that needed repair have been identified as well. Also, I was expecting a miraculous party, yet this is quite the depressing presentation. One day, Don. One day. I followed Don Quixote to the halls. He appeared terribly disappointed. Yeah. Checks out. She would be very disappointed. I assume we're getting a story fight next up. You have a warm reception. It seems very warm indeed. Oh god, there's a lot going on in here. That's for sure. Several floors looking similar. You can scroll down. We can't see anything down, of course, but I'm sure we'll be going down there sooner or later. We're gonna get to have another fight, though. It's been a little bit since I've had a fight, that's for sure. Two people sat by a dining hearth, surrounded by their respective posse. It was quite apparent from the way they sat opposite one another that the relationship was far from amicable. That seems to be the dead rabbit's boss, and that is... Is that gonna be Hindley, maybe? Or Hindley Harridan? Am I getting them mixed up? It might be, I don't remember. Is that Kathy alongside, like, servants of some kind? I guess we'll see. On one end was a group of people dressed in mysterious masks, surrounding a jumpy-looking man who looked like he was one little nudge away from hollering foul insults at everyone. On the other hand was a group of people dressed in identical uniforms. Sinclair told me that they were wearing the outfit that most manor employees wear, to each other. One of them stood out, as he was the only one among them in a black suit. He appeared somewhat uncomfortable. It seemed as though he was in a great deal of pain merely by being here. And between the two groups were... Fixers! I recognize their outfits. They make these pictures from the Oofy Association. Yeah, I was wondering, they've got like they had the little, bow on. So is there like a contract signing going on right now between those two groups? Interesting if so. Makes sense why he'd go ahead and Oofy identity, I guess. It's quite rare to even get a sighting of a single Oofy fixer. They require quite the momentous occasion to even grace us with their presence. We'll have time to ask for autographs later. Later, alright? I had to coax Don Quixote, who was practically quivering, from immediately running to them for signatures. Because we had unintentionally become the center of attention from the entire room. The center of very negative attention. By gum, that vagabond has returned. The bloody shame of Wuthering Heights. Oh, this seems to be Joseph. Although it's Josephine here, female, so this is who the Odie's idea is for. Very funny looking with that hair. Same old Josephine, huh? Look at him strutting about like he owns this place. If our mistress were to witness this travesty. Gosh, Josephine, that is quite enough. Don't mind her, Heathcliff. Blessed land of Wuthering Heights, reduced to an asylum for vagrants and drifters. If the mistress had been here to witness this tragic, deplorable state of affairs. There was an old woman in the room who was muttering some choice words at us while staring with eyes full of hatred. Ah, the witness brigand Rerin, and quite late at that. How dare you show your face? This is Hindley. Interesting. So he's just like a crook too? I was expecting him to be like a major antagonist of this Canto, but no, he leads the... Doesn't seem like he'd lead the Dead Rabbits. Hopefully using like a hand on a club, so this might not be Dead Rabbits. It's interesting because this is Kathy's brother. Hindley, please exercise some restraint. Oh, and here's Linton, assumably Edgar Linton, aka the person that Kathy is going to marry. I think that's for sure. Heathcliff, I hardly did expect your return. You have yet to let Catherine go, still. It was clear that the two had both been acquainted with Heathcliff for a while. But the nature of that acquaintance was more of a long-standing hatred stemming from the deep history of contention they shared. One of the two was hardly hiding his hatred, allowing for it to fully seize control of his words and actions, but the other one's hatred had sunk deep into his heart, boiling and writhing underneath. Huh. Right, I wasn't exactly expecting a grand welcome upon my return. Oh, yo, grand welcome, like the ego gift from the Bound King, who's the abnormality that gives Heathcliff the seasonal ego. But I ain't here to see your ugly mugs. It's like you always said, my base nature is just incapable of change. Heathcliff shoots back with just as much vitriol, as though he was always used to this kind of scorn and humiliation. The man in black suit turns as though it would degrade him to even entertain him with an answer. But this man they called Hindley, you unscrupulous, you bloody no thing lesser than a savage beast. Yeah, Hindley despises Heathcliff with his entire being in the book. I know that much. Jumped up from his seat, his face turning bright red from anger. By the looks of it, you found yourself a band of vagrants and vagabonds just like you, eh? Falling back to see if there is something worth pilfering from this place. You lot, he doesn't teach him a lesson. Break a bone or two. No orders from boss. Not Dead Rabbits? I think they're... I can't tell. Shut it! I'm your boss's boss. I hired him and the rest of you. Okay, so Hindley hired the boss of the Dead Rabbits, who've been wearing these masks and stuff. So we don't know the boss yet. Interesting how Hindley wears such, like, tattered clothes and stuff when he's, you know, basically like one of the heirs to Wuthering Heights. Very strange. I didn't expect these boneheaded fools to give you much trouble anyway. Head of bone? What on earth is that fellow speaking of? He's just expressing his explicit desire to get his feet. Well, since he asked for it, let's kill him. Yeah, let's. What are these called? Slow dead rats have hefty dead rat attachment. Yeah, they're not looking great. They're ruptury, of course. Defense level downy. To be expected. Deal 10% more damage to the target's least HP from the slow ones. And once again, it's the same thing for both. It's you. They recognize Heathcliff. And Heathcliff also doesn't have any sort of funny status effect or bit going on here. That's interesting. Kind of surprised he doesn't. But it is nice to have our color back. Is it even still a little faded? I think this is like full color here. I don't even think they've like faded it at all for the actual battle. Unlike, you know, the cutscene CGs where it's still a little faded. It's kind of hard to tell with IDs like this that, you know, not exactly wearing like, you know, the brightest IDs. I guess like the bow looks a little bit brighter when I highlight over it. And like same with like the yellow on you, but that might just be because I'm from the highlighting. Anyways, it's time to kill these guys. Brutally, hopefully. You're actually struggling with your skill one, that's interesting. They're level 37. They're low leveled. I guess it's just, you know, how it goes turn one, right? You might be able to dodge. Right. And checkers instance, but I assume they're still weak to blunt, because why wouldn't they be? That's kind of how it goes very frequently. It's the damage type of this Canto, and it's going to be very frequent, I'm sure. Impressive strike. Very glad to be able to hear Samjo again. An off-balance enemy, you could usually knock them down with a quick tap to their forehead. Don't worry, we'll tap them to their forehead with, you know, like a couple hits. As we do. Gaming, unfortunately, we killed, so that because the man didn't do much. They also fled, interesting. They're not going to let us brutally murder people here. Yeah, so they've changed how stagger works in general now. I was wondering. So it tells you the stagger, or not stagger, they changed the panic type stuff here. So it's always going to tell you, like, the panic type. That's cool looking. Agitated, yeah, it's simple enough one. So I noticed that when we inflicted the panic in the previous episode with the Echoes of the Manor. But I don't think I noticed, I don't think I really paid attention to like the other panic types too, because I think that was the only people we panicked, was the guy we spared, specifically to get Echoes of the Manor to trigger, right? Second wave of them makes sense, still the same too, I think. Hefty, slow, yeah. Is the lowest HP number or percentage? It seems like number, so it's going to be Ishmael, I presume? Yeah. Oh no, you've actually, oh, you've got like barely any HP. Your max is 157, I didn't even notice that. Interesting. This shouldn't be the most surprising, you're not like the tankiest, but like it's still weird. Also, I haven't mentioned this, but my screen's a little broken right now, so I can't see like the bottom like chunk of it. So like I actually can't see like the clash win chances like very well here. Like basically this like entire like bottom like row, kind of like up to like this point where my cursor is like highlighting. I just cannot see anything like there. So if I miss flashes that I really should go for because they're obvious, it's because I straight up cannot see them because my screen is weird. And I need to get that fixed sooner rather than later. I do have my second monitor, I guess, so I can always look at OBS, but that's also weird. There's a little bit of delay when I look at OBS. Yeah, I think there is still a little bit of a filter going on battles. I don't know for sure, but like really the DHE's scarves are a little bit brighter than that normally. Are they? I don't know. I don't know if I'm gaslighting myself, honestly. Like, is that too dull? Like, if I highlight over, it does look more normal. I guess it kind of does. There might still be a little bit of a filter then. Hard to notice with these IDs, though. If I had an ID, like a warp ID or something, it would probably be pretty obvious. Something with, you know, bright colors. But because most of their IDs are fairly faded anyways, definitely not helping out too much. Nice. Killing a bunch of them, stagger that guy, so that's good. We acknowledge that guy, so that's good, and there we go. Victory. Oh. Interesting anyways. Good. Now I'll separate the bones from your flesh and personally introduce you to your own skull. Oi, lads! Casual yet powerful voice booms across the hall, immediately breaking the tension in the room. I've just gone for a minute to get some water. What happened here? Dead Rabbit's boss, yep, definitely. This is one big mess, hey. Would have been faster to go back and get water from the well myself. Boss, we have this. So that's their boss. Yes, executive manager. It's immediately obvious from the way he walks and from the way he carries himself that he is someone quite experienced in combat. Right on time. Your lackeys are lacking. How could they let these group of no-name hooligans knock them on their... Go on, show them the meaning of pain. Huh. Looks like I'm going to give my men some proper demonstration. The boss confidently strode towards Heathcliff. Then... Oh! Gave him a playful smack on the back of his head. Oi, lads, ain't the first thing you do when crawling back into your neighborhood to give a quick hello to your dear old boss? Where'd you leave your manners? Huh? You lot wait to see if I'd look for your faces and bow before him. Come on, hurry up. Show some bloody respect. What? No, it can't be. The man waded past both the aftermath of the brawl and the heavy tension that filled the manor like he was out on a stroll. He just walked into the middle of it all, then put his arm around Heathcliff's shoulder. It was the kind of friendly gesture that only someone who's known Heathcliff for a long, long time could do. Yeah, he's the boss. We still don't know what his name is, but we'll learn in the next chapter, I'm sure. Or not the next chapter, the next fight. Oh, you did the most this time. Catherine. I don't think that's the name of the boss, but you know, I was wondering if it was going to be a case where it tells us the name of the chapter name, but no, Catherine is not the name of the boss of the Dead Rabbits. I don't think. Just a safe guess. Boss? Matthew? Right on, you Muppet. You've been gone for so long that you don't even recall what Mad Bunnies used to look like. Oh, his eyes are like that. Mad Bunnies? You've just known that vagrant for long? Why haven't you told me so? Well, I hardly imagined you'd be interested in hearing about every little friend I made back when we were just another gang rolling in the sweaty, muddy streets. Boss, why are you working with this blighter? Wait, no, but that mask, those rabbit ears. Wait, you're still with the Dead Rabbits? Yeah, we've changed a tad, eh? Remember, lad? Back in the day, all we needed to crack some Adam's family heads was some tattered scarf around a neck and bottles of beer on tap. Okay, so is that like they mentioned in the update story, like the enemy syndicate, the opposing syndicate opposed to them that like Heathcliff just bagged like a grunt from. And maybe that's the Adams. Any like significant Adams family beyond like the actual, you know, like the Adams family, like the popular one? I don't know. We even named one of them beers after you, didn't we? The pub that used to sell that beer closed shop a few weeks ago. Ain't got much business around here with that dreadful rumor keeping everyone home nowadays. What? The Wolf's Hall closed? Bloody hell. I started doing the muffled speech for Heathcliff too out of habit. Whoops. Yeah, Wolf's Fall is a funny bar name. Oh, I suppose I'm leaving you all in the loop, eh? Well, allow me to introduce the gaffer. It's such a shame the idea for this guy is so mid. Seems like a chill dude. He was a boss of the old syndicate I used to run with. The old friends of yours, eh? You ain't some posh brother company after running out on us out of nowhere, did you? Well, things just worked out that way. Are all them lads and lasses your lackeys? Blimey, got a walking timepiece with you, too. You certainly moved up in the world, eh? Lackeys? Ishmael glared at Heathcliff with a look that could kill, but she decided to hold her silence and merely shook her head in disbelief. She probably decided that it was not worth the trouble. So, what's up with the masks, boss? What, is it odd? Trends change with time, lad. My scars of the rabbit embroidery is long past. Is that so? It looks a bit... Of course not. Who do you think we are? We the Dead Rabbits ain't a bookish rabble that follows the coattails of some naff friend. You've really not want to return to this place since you left, have you? No. When I left this manor, and eventually the Dead Rabbits, I made a promise to myself that I'd not return. Not even a step closer to this place until I've made something of myself. Not until I can return as a successful man. Well, you've always hated this place, even when you were with one of us. I've got news for you, Heathcliff. We're no longer the same lowly backstreet gang you're familiar with. I suppose we've also moved up in the world. Someone from the ring who'd been keeping their eyes on us plucked us right off of the streets and into their fold. We're bigger now. We're one of the up-and-coming syndicates. The ring, okay. I was expecting Thumb, if anything, since, you know, there was some Thumb stuff going on in the mid-chapter, but... Ring, alright. Wonder if it's someone we know from Leviathan or something. I doubt it. Most of them die. I forget how many of them died or survived, or I think most of the ring people from Leviathan died, so I don't think we know. I think Asia survived, but Asia's not really ring. Asia's more, you know, Encore working kidnapped by the ring or something, I forget. The ring? What are the fingers? Must be the Fauvists of the ring, then. They're the only ones who'd outfit their underlings with these cheap, tacky animal masks. Fauvists. That's an art term, I think, right? Fauvist? Yeah, the style of art paintings, Lefau's, emphasize painted clothing and strong color over realistic values. So it's like, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's Picasso exactly, but it's kind of similar to that. Art that focuses more on vibrant colors and, unrealism than music. Definitely far from Picasso, because Picasso, the shapes rules matter, but, he's kind of using strange colors and stuff. That makes sense. Art theming for the ring is the kind of their main thing, so yeah. Then yeah, you little, I'm the top boss of the Den of Rabbits now. What? Remember what you always used to say when we've each filled up with more than 3 bottles of beer? What we drank were some lousy beer made from halfway rotten wheat, Heathcliff. All that I remembered coming from the next morning was a pounding headache and the light feeling of our emptied pockets. You used to tell me that it hurt like hell every time one of your own men came back to us hurt, even the recruits. Like they hurt not just any other underling, but an extension of you. I knew you'd make it big one day, boss. Well, I suppose drunk me knew how to wax poetic. I knew it was you, Matthew. The mask threw me off for a moment, boss. What a sorry sight this is. It's also how they're chumming out. I wasn't necessarily expecting it, but it's very nice. I sincerely apologize to you two sweethearts for crashing your tearful reunion. But the point is, while you were wandering the streets, wasting away the best years of your life on the road, Matt's made something of himself, which is why I hired him as my bodyguard. You hear me? Not like you and your merry band of no-name second-rate hooligans. The third-rate skill. I could think of a few more sinners who would have gotten angry enough to brandish their weapons at such an insult. But they all seem to remember that responding to such insults with violence only begot pointless turmoil, so instead they all began sighing heavily in an attempt to vent some of their pent-up anger. Hindley, you seem to be sorely mistaken. This isn't the same winter you thrashed me, treated me like an indentured servant, and abused me like a hound. I won't deny that I spent many days and nights imagining tearing that foul tongue from your gob. But he did glance briefly in our direction. Even a poor sod like myself found a place to belong, went on adventures to places you couldn't even imagine, learned a thing or two from them. So I just feel bad for you, mate. What? Because you really haven't changed one bit. Besides, what is the bag you're wearing? You look more like a drifting vagabond than I do. Yeah, I was wondering. He's not normally like that then. He's just kind of homeless right now. What? You insolent fool! Matthew, kill him. That man's been saying some pretty nasty stuff about us. But he doesn't even look like someone that's worth arguing with. Huh. Mate, did you even check yourself in the mirror in the last week? Yeah, that's a good question, did he? I'm confused why it looks like this. I can't bear to look at you so down in the dumps, Hindley. Of course, we had no way of knowing what Hindley looked like in the past, but we could pretty easily tell that he was far from the most stable person in the room. You. Not happy. Oh no, Mr. Hindley, why don't you seat yourself on this sofa and calm down? Be more considerate of our boys standing in that corner, watching the whole thing go down, huh? You don't even get these comfy-looking leather sofas. Ugh. Hindley. They forgot to eat there. That's funny looking. Troubles for a moment were slumping down the sofa, and even that simple action was stumbling and pathetic. Got drunkard, I assume. See what happened? He let the alcohol consume him, and not the other way around. Fell into a big, nasty barrel with no way out. Aw, Gregor knows a thing or two about that, didn't he, before he joined Limbus? I'm sure he spent the last 10 years or so just kind of being a drunkard with no purpose. I've seen the same look on some sailors. Failing to pull themselves out of that habit would lead them straight into the merciless maws of the lake. Not even a trace of them would be left. Well, this man's still my client. Mr. Hindley hired me for some job, which is why I'm here at Wuthering Heights. Job? Catherine's hosting this banquet, ain't she? What kind of job could possibly need the dead rabbit's help here? What? A banquet? Well, I suppose there is one thing that doesn't change with time. It's that witless, useless brain of yours, you colored. Hindley, please, cease this at once. I implore you. You sound sick, coughing and stuff. I do not wish to see my manor sullied by such foul obscenities. This is not your home, Linton. It's mine. It's my manor. You're the one who sullied this noble Wuthering height, my birthright bestowed upon me by my father, by taking it from me by the means of trickery. Hindley's feeling very Canto bossy. Was your own family manor too small for you, Linton Edgar, your oh-so-noble Edgar family? Edgar family? Time for whining, crying, and throwing a tantrum to get what you want is long past. So, Linton married his way in through Catherine. Catherine's dead? Assumably. So Linton basically owns the manor now, and Hindley's super mad about it, but he still just hangs around like an urchin. Bold words for some milksop who's about to choke himself to death on air. Please maintain your distance, Mr. Hindley. I've seen mongrels more loyal than you lot. I was your master only a few years ago. Have you cast aside your memories as well as when you did your loyalty? Cease this at once, Master Hindley. The butlers have all left Hindley Earnshaw behind, as you are very well aware yourself. Is that a single sprite? No, I don't think so. I was trying to tell if that was just one sprite, but I don't think so. It was either differently too, yeah. They're just on top of each other. And you too, butlers. We do not want to make further trouble here, Understood, Chief Butler, Nelly. What is Josephine's place if Nelly is the Chief Butler? Can there be multiple Chief Butlers, I presume? After a brief silence, Heathcliff finally brought upon the question he'd been stewing for so long. Nelly, where is Catherine? You must know, Nelly, that Catherine never did like these commotions. So many guests making so much noise in her home. He won't be pleased. I suppose she never did. I've been keeping my volume in check because I didn't want to offend her, but it's getting harder and harder to keep it down. There was a look of unfathomable, immeasurable grief on both Linton and Nelly. Hindley was absentmindedly mumbling some foul language to the ceiling, and Heathcliff probably sensed from this ineffably dark and ominous silence that something was terribly wrong. He was invited for her funeral after all, it seems. It was settling in for us now. After all we've been through in this journey, this kind of silence was all too familiar. Where's Catherine? What's with this dour look on everyone? I'm terribly sorry, Heathcliff. Why? Why are you sorry? What the hell are you sorry about? Heathcliff, I may have a correct assumption as to what this silence indicates. So I have no other choice but to tell you, as it is common courtesy to do so, that I am very sorry to hear that. God, Merso! What the... Can't you talk normally for once? Hardly know how to tell you this, but Miss Catherine isn't here anymore. What do you mean she's not? Catherine, she's dead. Yep. Some people were doubting it, but it seems it's very likely as a potential option. But there's more story stuff. Very story heavy still. That's cool though. I'm really liking it. Floors upon floors upon floors upon floors, God. How is Heathcliff gonna take this? I don't think very well. I do not think very well at all. Oh. Linton looked up at Heathcliff. His eyes were bloodshot. As you said earlier, none of us are here to see each other's ugly mugs. What other reason could we possibly have to reconvene like this? Oh. That can't be real. What kind of insane... No. Youth Association Director. Fancy. Fixers of the Youth Association, who've remained silent throughout this entire commotion, suddenly spoke up. Promised hour has come. Mr. Hindley Earnshaw, a blood relative of the deceased. Mr. Linton Edgar, the spouse of the deceased. Yeah, they're fighting over the custody, not custody rights to this manor. And Mr. Heathcliff, an individual mentioned by name in the will. Oh, Heathcliff's mentioned. Oh, did Kathy leave this to Heathcliff in her will? Oh no, that is not good. Now that the three relevant parties are all present, we, as the executors of the deceased's will, may begin the ceremony. The first order of business will be an execution of Miss Catherine's will. What's it gonna be? Thus commences the solemn occasion of Miss Catherine's funeral rite. As per the deceased's wishes, the will shall be read out aloud here, at Miss Catherine's manor in attendance of all those present. Then... No. You... Stop. Shut up for a second. Whose funeral rites? And... What was that about her spouse? The man they called Linton rose from his seat for the first time since we arrived here. After you abandoned this place with nary a word to her, Catherine immediately turned to me. Then we married. Every waking hour we spent together were filled with happiness and joy. We were happy to the very last day, to our very last breath. Shut your stupid gob. The moment I set my foot in this manor. Okay, for prediction-y type things, I think Hindley's probably going to be the Canto boss, and Linton might end up joining, like, the, Damien group? That's the best vibe I'm getting right now. It feels like he's the kind of person who might join a group like that. I don't know. Maybe we'll fight him after all. He's kind of dying, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he distorted too, either. They're just kind of initial impressions, but I think they might be trying to get us to think Hindley's going to be the final boss, and then he's just going to kind of die without fighting him. We'll have to see. I heard her voice. I felt her presence. So what the bloody hell are you even talking about? This has to be some ploy. They must have... This can't... Heathcliff paused for a moment, struggling to find the words. This can't be how it ends. I won't believe a single thing coming out of your mouths until I see her body with my own eyes. Where is she? Bring her here, now. What a repulsive sight. The least you could have done was to show some proper respect to the dead. But I suppose even the bare minimum is too much to expect from someone like... I understand how you feel, Heathcliff. So please calm yourself and take a seat. Get your hands off me. You can't just decide for me that she's dead. I won't accept any of this, not until I see Kathy with my own... Warning. For this interruption, the will reading continue. We may have to resort to use of force to ensure the full execution of this will. Shut up! You don't know anything, so shut your mouth! Heathcliff was gasping. The sheer momentousness of the emotion overwhelmed him. It looked as though he was about to lunge at anyone who even dared to get close. I could hardly tell whether it was sorrow or wrath that came over him. Heathcliff, why don't you ever go look in the mirror yourself? What a pathetic mess you've become. It doesn't matter what posh garbage plebs like you wrap yourselves in. That filth from your low birth seeps right through the fabric at the slightest provocation. You'll eventually see Catherine's corpse, all right. It's all part of the funeral process, so don't be in such a hurry to get there. I can't wait to see how well she's resting after what she's done to me. Yeah, the boss. Mr. Hindley Earnshaw, Mr. Heathcliff, we order that both of you immediately return to your seats. This is your final warning. Manager Spire, we must do on and on. Fixers of the Youth Association may even execute those involved should there be a breach of contract. I don't wish to see her, Sir Heathcliff, be executed, nor I wish to have to battle the honorable fixers of the Youth Association. I agree with Don Quixote. There is no need for us to get involved in an unnecessary conflict, but I don't think Heathcliff's gonna listen to us. I don't even know if there's anyone who can talk Heathcliff down when he's that agitated. You have refused to comply. We had no choice but to watch as Fixers of the Yuffie Association struck Heathcliff with their weapons. He fell to his knees with a painful cry. Y.S. Yisong. It's like... It's saying Yisong. You speak. Not you, Yisong. Speak still, your intentions notwithstanding. You, stop. All of you. Something's off about this whole thing. That's a very funny pun. You stop, Yisong. It sounds similar. The initials for you stop, I guess, are just Yisong. Something. Something's off about this whole thing. Would you like to speak for this individual? Was what she was going to say, but she decided to remain silent in favor of not getting in trouble. Right? Huh? What are you doing, bug guy? Ryoshu, I understand that seeing our fellow sinner get smacked around like that can be pretty aggravating, but that's not what she cares about. Once you get involved, this will simply no longer be an option. Didn't know you cared so much about Heathcliff, Ryoshu. NC. Not care. Ryoshu flicked her cigarette indifferently as though she was no longer interested. No comment. You. Staring at the seams now. Yep, makes sense. Fine. Let's crack some skulls then, shall we? Heathcliff stumbled to his feet with the club in his hand, glaring at everyone that stood before him. I see that you are still refusing to comply, despite our initial attempt. Should you refuse to let go of your weapon with the next minute, you'll have no choice but to escalate to our next steps. Couldn't care less about your steps. Give me Catherine or... What, give you death? None of us are leaving this manor alive. You lot, me, we're all going 6 feet under. Heathcliff! Shut it, Clockhead! This ain't the time to bring up, like, the company rules. Stay out of my way. I don't have anything to say. If someone that important to me died, I'd be blinded and deafened to all reason, too. He's thinking about that. Hey, Heath, I understand how angry and frustrated you must be, but you can't... Shut your trap. All of you, don't you dare touch me unless you want your faces caved into. It's nap time, Heathcliff. Ah! Whoa. Did she just knock him out cold with her bare hand? And it wasn't even a punch, it was just a light tap. His breathing is stable. It appears that she gave the nerve on the back of his head a precise, focused strike, led to his loss of consciousness. What a flawless execution of that move! I can certainly say that I've seen something like that before. Reminds me of my family. Sir Heathcliff has been defeated with a single fell strike! Yeah, he sure has. Every self-respecting butler has to be equipped with one such move. What other choice have we got when the child fusses and fusses for 20 hours instead of going to sleep? Forsooth, I can say with quite the confidence that I can immediately slumber into the dreamlands upon tucking myself in bed. Please don't knock me out. I'll go to bed. Alright. It was not by his own volition. We have confirmed that he is no longer in possession of a weapon, and has been subdued. We will allow for a 10-minute recess to let things calm down for a moment, and then we will proceed as planned. So funny how they're not giving this Uffie guy a name. Like, we've finally actually seen, like, an associated person proper in the story of this game, and they're not even named. Like, excuse me, Lady Nelly. Lady Nelly? No need for such honorifics. Please, just call me Nelly. The contractors that Mr. Linton Edgar brought, they once worked at this manor, right? Yes, indeed. Some butlers from the Earnshaws, like myself, followed Miss Catherine to Master Linton's. Of course, most of Master Linton's butlers are from his own Edgar family. Okay, so this is confirmed. There's 2 different chief butlers now. This means Ryoshu gets the Nelly ID, as I was wondering if that was the case. Because in the actual update story for Otis, Otis is clearly Josephine ID, but it seems that Ryoshu takes the place of Nelly because it mentioned she mentioned how Faust mentioned Chief Butler Ryoshu leaving with being like a traitor or whatever to the Lintons, to the Edgars, I guess you should say. So Nelly went with them, I suppose. And Ryoshi gets that ID. Maybe we'll get that as an actual ID. Could be cool, I guess. She's got a funny weapon. I really wonder what that is. If she just swings around. I mean, she punches people, so I guess she just is another punchy person. Maybe it'll be like a Ryoshi 2 star next week or something. I guess we'll see. So, if he gives the order to attack us, Lady Nelly would... Oh, pish posh. Ridiculous. I was a butler in direct service of Miss Catherine. Young Master Linton could plead and beg all he wants, but I won't always be taking his side. So, what exactly are the butlers? Butlers? I was acquainted with this matter. They're fixers. I was right, yes, earlier. House dogs and tight leash groveling before their masters. The most trustworthy and loyal people I've ever known, I'd say. Fixers bound to families! Nice! Gotcha! Some great help you fellas are. Well, I'm glad that I'm not the only one out of the loop for once. Makes sense that obviously Hongnu's butlers. Ryoshu worked for, assumably, like, the Emperor is going to be, like, a rich person with a bunch of butlers and stuff. So Ryoshu is well aware of them. At least some of you know who we butlers are. It is a rather rare occupation, so not many people even know that we exist. Doesn't sound like most normal folk would have a reason to know anything about him. Unless they're in a position where they have no choice but to work at the rich folks' homes. Well, one of us is quite passionate fan of fixers. Quite. Oh, I'm very pleased to know that our dear Heathcliff made some very intelligent friends. Hey, Nelly! I promise you that once I make my return to the bus, I will have my hands on the butler figurine I have given up on acquiring. It shall stand tall in front of the frontmost row of my display shelf. Don Quixote's eyes were practically exploding with joy at having her fixer obsession positively acknowledged and accepted for once. She just wants people to acknowledge hyperfixation. Fair enough. Let me explain. Butlers are fixtures indeed, yet they are rather distinct from most fixtures thou hast encountered thus far. A fixture often refers to those who accept contracts as part of an association or an office. Alas, there exists a distinction of when it comes to butlers. Butlers join families or manors to serve them, and only them on long-term contracts. Pursued like any other fixers, butlers may be hired by a single person to serve them, and only them as well. Do you know that their service is not limited to combat? We also conduct household management and care as well. Pretty much, that makes sense, yep. I must also mention that proficiency in many fields is a necessity to be a respected butler. It's no easy occupation, mind you. From what I have learned, hire a butler is to pay an inordinate amount of salary. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's a bit of a fixer for life. Indeed. While butlers are always oh so busy, we are promised expensive compensation at every contract extension, with stable bonuses such as pensions. I assume they don't live that long usually, though, because, you know, the city's cruel like that. Many famous associate and fixers also retire to serve as butlers as well. Interesting. I was once a butler in service of Miss Catherine's family, and was transferred to Master Linton Edgar's family to join their ranks when she married him. Still, after a rather peaceful, mutual debate, came to the conclusion that I would be assuming the position of the chief butler, leader of the butlers in that household. Gotcha. Totally peaceful. I'm sure it really was one peaceful transfer of power. Oh, it is quite fascinating to imagine that even Sir Heathcliff once had been a tiny bairn. How was he as a youth? Very curious creature. He was quite a special child. I do not believe that I would have become a chief butler had it not been for him. Oh, what a lovely boy he was. Lovely. Quite. Even to Dawn, just kind of caught off guard from that. So what next? We're gonna have to... I mean, he's just gonna have to wake up, that's the thing. The ghost, oh god. Catherine's haunting this place. I'm not shocked. Oh, and that's the way forward, isn't it? We're gonna start heading towards the basement. Very interesting stuff. But anyways, I think that'll be all for this time. Unfortunately, we only got to do a single fight, because this is a very story-heavy Canto, and but this is a good enough resting place. Next time, we're gonna learn about the haunting of the manor, I suppose. Happy's ghost, assumably being manifested thanks to the golden bow or something. Anyways, that'll be all for this time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!